And hello, everyone. Welcome to this edition of Legal Tech Briefs, a Google Hangout on air associated with the Business of Law blog. We conduct short interviews about legal technologies and the management of law, both for law firms and corporate legal departments. I am Frank Strong with the LexisNexis Software Division, and I'm joined today by William Harris. William and I met almost by chance, just some chit-chat over social media, and next thing we're trading emails, and I discovered he's a 10-year veteran of the legal industry. He has served as a paralegal and more recently as a consultant, and then has recently decided to go back to law school at Emory University, where he's obviously pursuing a law degree, and in the course of our conversation has hinted at the idea of opening up his own law firm after graduation. Along the way, William has interfaced with several of the LexisNexis software products that we develop in the software division, including Time Matters and Firm Manager. And I also thought it would be interesting to get his perspective on practice management tools and his journey from paralegal to attorney and sort of his thoughts on legal technology. So William, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Frank, and thanks for everyone tuning in. I know it's getting near the end of the day, so I appreciate everyone taking some time out to hear what I have to say.
Yeah, absolutely. And you do, I noticed you've got a few friends watching, so no pressure. Well, let's get started. The first questions I have is, you've been a paralegal for 10 years. You've been involved in the industry for 10 years. How did you get started? What attracted you to the legal community, and then where did you get your foot in the door and go from there?
Well, Frank, I guess spent my formative years, I guess, in college up in New Hampshire at Dartmouth, and decided that it was just too cold for me. Headed back down south. I'm born and raised in Atlanta, and was planning on going straight to law school after college, but made in retrospect, sage decision not to, because I didn't feel as though I had the discipline, and I certainly didn't. So I decided to try my luck at in the legal field, and was able to grab a job as a paralegal at a mid-sized defense firm in Atlanta. So that's how I started, and the idea was to do it for 1 year and then go to law school, and 1 year has turned into 10.
Yeah.
So that's just here now.
So, the news around the legal world and law schools in particular has not been, positive in the last few years. The number of jobs in the legal industry, particularly for attorneys, have gotten tougher. There's a lot of discussion around law students and their challenges in getting jobs afterwards, the debt that they incur, and so on and so forth. So what inspired you to pursue this at this point in your career?
Well, it really didn't hit me until about year 8, and that was when I kind of made I made a leap of faith jump to continue working full time at another law firm. I think this was my third one. Another mid-sized defense firm, and decided to go to law school part-time in the evenings at Atlanta's John Marshall Law School. So after doing that, I guess contemporaneously working and doing law school at the same time, which to say it was a gruel would be a total understatement.
Mm-hmm.
Decided that I really loved the letter of the law, as that sounds trite, and it's trite, but I decided that I loved it, and that's definitely what I wanted to do. I had tried every other, I had thought of every other type of job. I've taken every standardized test except for the MCAT, I think, throughout the way. Had every idea of what to do, but everything just kept drawing me back to the legal world. And after my, I guess, part-time semester at John Marshall, I did well enough there, and said, okay, it's time to make the ultimate plunge, and I was fortunate enough to get into Emory law. And
Yeah, yeah. I don't think anyone could say that you're not walking into this with eyes wide open. You definitely got the background for it. What kind of law are you hoping to practice when you're done? What's your area of interest?
ideally, it would be, well, not it would definitely be some kind of personal injury, wrongful death, on the plaintiff's end, that sort of thing, which is a bit antithetical to my experience. I've had 9 years of experience, or I should say 8 years of experience on the defense end, one year on the plaintiff's end, and that's really what stuck with me. And
Uh-huh.
exactly what I want to pursue. Is that something I'll be able to immediately after upon graduation? I have no idea, but that would be the ultimate goal.
Yeah. Now, in the course of your work, especially as a paralegal, you mentioned that you've used products including Time Matters and Firm Manager, and there's a lot of discussion about, is a premise-based solution like Time Matters, is that a better or uh, more advantageous product to use than, say, the cloud, and vice versa. So I'm interested in your perspective, having experience with both and interacting with those two products. What's sort of your take? If you were to advise as a consultant a small law firm on looking at practice management tools, what advice would you give them?
Well, it's interesting that you said small law firm, Frank, because there's definitely I'd say there's a very negative correlation between size of law firm and flexibility as to whether or not you can remain with your on-premises software or move to the software as a subscription or some type of cloud um, application. And I'm strongly for the cloud-based
Mm-hmm.
application. That right now I know there's a herd mentality, everyone's moving towards it. I think there's a lot of misconceptions, and I think there's a lot of ambiguities as to exactly what it entails, the pitfalls, the things that make it great, and the things that just make it okay, and the things to look out for. But the way that I see it for a smaller law firm is to get away from on-premises software to move or to integrate would be a better way. But moving forward, it's going to be almost an exclusive cloud type environment. That's my opinion, and there's going to be uh, a big battle between the vendors to capture the clients. And I think that so for a small firm, move the IT people away as far as their physical presence, and move away from the tied-in infrastructure that the on-premises software provides, and move on to a cloud. But the biggest thing, in my opinion, is that you have something that is integrated and that you have something that's safe. And that's very broad. So I'm going to get you to cut that up a little bit.
Yeah, well, I hear this from customers a lot. So particularly the cloud version, the smaller the firm, especially the solos and dugos, they don't have to worry about the IT infrastructure. It's got a subscription model, so it provides predictable cost for them. But the fact is, a tool like Time Matters has been around for 20 years. It's got 20 years of development behind it and deep, deep, deep functionality. And typically, as the firms grow in size, they start to look at those broader solutions. I wonder, did you find that to be true as well? In other words, the firm that you worked at when you had Time Matters, like how big was it? Was it the right solution for them?
Yeah, it was. I worked with Time Matters for a little over a year, and it was with a firm that had 75 attorneys, and so
Oh yeah.
100 folks total. And I loved it. It personally worked great for me because it had everything. and everything, meaning you have your paperless vault, you have your billing software, you have everything that you need, and it's all in one place. But what I like the best about it is that I suppose if your software technology acumen is at a certain level, you can learn how to do every single thing and aspect and facet that a firm could do without even having to have certain employees there. And that was especially evident one week, and it's that week between Christmas and New Year's where there was nobody there. And so I was able to run conflict checks. I was able to get the billing in. I was able to file everything appropriately, and really stuff like that, especially with the conflict check. And if you learn how to do the billing part, everything else is there, and just when you put it together and you learn it, you're good to go. I mean, you can do it, pretty much do it yourself, and that's what I was able to do this one particular week, and I looked like a complete stud, at least that week. So,
well, I was going to ask you, did that, just as you learned, I mean, it sounds like you had a little time, everybody else was off playing, and you're in the office working, but you had some time to really dig into the product. Did it make you sort of a go-to resource? People like, every time they had an issue with one of the products, they'd say, oh, you need to go talk to William?
Yeah, and there's definitely some good and the bad with that, and the more you experiment with long-standing companies and vendors, the more you realize that they're the ones that you need to stick with, because you can be more flexible, bring up ideas, there are more options, and opposed to moving from vendor to vendor, you can stick with one and kind of branch off more, and that's what I did. I was fortunate enough to have some extra time, and then I also enjoyed it. So I would move away and
from your. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead.
I was going to say, from your perspective as a member of the staff in a law firm, and obviously you do all kinds of important work. The attorneys wouldn't be able to get their job done without you. What if you took that piece of software out? I mean, does a firm have to have a practice management solution, or can they use an email client, or even traditionally with file cabinets and folders and that sort of thing?
Now, I would say unequivocally no. I mean, everything, even with firms that have nothing but just stacks and rows and libraries of hard files, they need to get some scanners in there and hire some file clerks straight out of college immediately and get those documents in some kind of electronic format. They need to make sure that they're there and secure, that everybody can access them, and that, to me, was perhaps one of the most aggravating areas to deal with, and that was going back and forth from these huge red wells and then going to another area where there were nothing but electronic files, and so when they were kind of all over the place. So integration was what they needed, and that's what every firm should in my opinion, needs to move towards, and move towards quickly.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So, as having some experience with the technology, what advice would you have for the vendors, folks like us? What can we do to better serve the legal community?
Well, vendors, it's tricky because I'm speaking with you. You're a Lexus representative. You guys have been around for 20 years, and I've had better success with Lexus than I have with Westlaw, and then you have CaseMap, and then you have some other vendors. And my advice would be to make sure that you know your vendors, that everything is going through them, and to stick with the ones that have been there long enough. because you start moving away from those vendors and into third parties, security issues and where's my data, stuff like that starts to come up.
Yeah. What do you mean when you say make sure everything goes through your vendors?
Once you get into outsourcing and third-party issues, I think is where the safety concerns come into play. And I could be wrong, and stop me if I am, but it's just been my experience that if you stick with one vendor and you make sure you know where your data is and that it's not, and that anybody can access it in your firm, all the way up to the marquee partner, all the way down to your case assistant or your file clerk, as long as everything is integrated within one vendor, I think as far as that will make the client happy. And I think that is what the vendors will be trying to capture over the next year or two, are those clients, not necessarily the market share.
Yeah, excellent. And I don't think as a listening organization the customer is ever wrong. So if that's what you say, it's certainly something that we write down and think about. Let me ask you. I got one more question for you before we let you off the hook. Predictions for legal technology, for the legal industry. Where do you think we're headed?
Well, I think it's definitely a cloud-based industry. It's definitely going to be a software as a subscription type of deal. Everyone's going to be seeing the uppercase S, the two lowercase A's, and the other uppercase S. And I think that there's going to be a lot of vendor fighting. I know that may sound a bit strong, but I think that technology, the legal, on the technology end, it's just going to get better. It's going to get more comprehensive, all-encompassing, and that is pretty much a foregone conclusion. As far as my predictions, the long-standing guys are going to take out the smaller guys, and as a result, we're all going to be a little better off in the end, and that it would be my ultimate prediction, and I could continue with the other predictions. But as far as legal technology, it's going to get more cloud integrated. It's going to get more user friendly, and everyone's going to continue to hear that term: user friendly, user friendly, user friendly.
Yep. And
customer service, which has always been there, is still going to be there, but on premises and actual IT employees are going to dwindle down. And I hope that no IT people are watching me right now, because they're gonna want my head. But the on-premises type of platform and even as far embedded as it might be into a firm is going to eventually not disintegrate, but it's going to integrate with the cloud type service as well. So those would be my main predictions.
Yeah, well, I wish you luck, because I think your email is going to go down for a week, and they're not going to answer your help desk ticket. But I'd say that IT people and attorneys probably have one thing in common, and that is when you need one, you really, really need one. All right, well, we like to keep these short. We've gone about 20 minutes here, so that's about a wrap. William, I want to thank you very much for joining us. We wish you lots of success in your studies. Do keep in touch with us as you move along. And then for everyone else watching, a recording of the show will, of course, be posted on the YouTube channel shortly, and we'll look to do a quick summary of the discussion for the Business of the Law blog. Of course, if you have ideas for topics or guests that you'd like to see, you can email us at blisssocial, that's BLSS social, at lexisnexis.com, or of course leave a comment on the YouTube page or on Google Plus if you're on Google Plus, and we'll look into it and see if we can make it happen. In the meantime, that concludes this edition of Legal Tech Briefs, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks.
Thanks, everyone.